Hello and welcome, my dear friend. There's something you need to hear right now, and it won't wait for later. Heaven didn't save this for someday. It was written for today. This is a love letter from God, and the first thing it tells you is this: nothing good you've done has gone unseen. Think about that. Every single time you chose patience when frustration was boiling, every single time you walked away from bitterness when revenge would have been louder, every single time you carried pain quietly but still found room to offer kindness to someone else, heaven noticed. Even when nobody thanked you, even when nobody clapped for you, even when people assumed you were just fine because you didn't complain out loud, God was keeping track. That's why you're still standing. You see, the world often notices performance. They applaud strength when it looks polished, when it's packaged neatly. But God honors truth. The nights you wrestled with doubt and still got up the next morning. The days you didn't feel holy, but you stayed honest. The moments you held your tongue, not because you didn't have something to say, but because peace mattered more than proving yourself. That's real strength. That's what built the foundation under your feet. And maybe you didn't hear it when you needed it most. Maybe as a child you weren't affirmed when you tried your hardest. Maybe as an adult you weren't celebrated when you resisted old cycles. Maybe when you gave your last ounce of energy, all you got in return was silence. But silence on earth doesn't mean silence in heaven. God kept count. And now He's making sure you understand. What you carried, what you endured, what you chose in private, it mattered. The delays weren't denial. The pruning wasn't punishment. It was preparation. And preparation always has an unveiling. That unveiling is beginning now. For too long, some people looked at your life and assumed you were forgotten. They mistook hiddenness for abandonment. They thought the absence of applause meant the absence of purpose. But God is about to shock them, because what's coming next doesn't read like failure. It reads like favor. The same situations that looked like setbacks will now be revealed as setups. The same paths that felt blocked are going to open, not because you forced them, but because you became ready. And that's the part you need to let sink in. You're not stepping into this next chapter because you finally performed well enough. You're stepping into it because you remained true. You didn't abandon your soul to blend in with people who settled. You didn't trade your peace for belonging. You didn't hand over your light just to keep relationships that couldn't handle its brightness. Even when you doubted yourself, God never doubted you. He knew what He placed in you. Eyes that see deeper than most. A heart that feels further than most. A spirit that gets back up when most would stay down. That's what you've been cultivating in the quiet. And now, that quiet strength is about to echo louder than your trials. It won't just be seen in blessings, it will be felt in your presence. People won't even be able to explain it, but something about you will carry weight. The kind of weight that only comes from surviving storms without becoming what tried to destroy you. And here's the beauty. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to list your scars for people to respect your strength. You don't owe anyone the long version of how you got here. God saw it. That's enough. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about recognition. Not the shallow kind that fades when people get distracted, but the recognition that comes from heaven echoing through your life. The recognition that says, this one never quit. This one carried integrity when no one was watching. This one will be honored openly for what was chosen faithfully in secret. That's where you stand now, on the edge of a season that looks nothing like the one before it. A season where peace doesn't have to be fought for daily, it begins to flow. A season where doors don't creak open halfway, they swing wide. A season where love doesn't have to be begged for, it comes freely, because God has already stamped you as worthy of it. And maybe you're not used to that. Maybe ease feels foreign after years of survival. Maybe joy feels strange on a tongue that got used to endurance. That's okay. It's supposed to feel new, because it is new. Not because time passed, but because alignment finally caught up with identity. because you stopped playing small to make others comfortable, because you decided that your soul was worth protecting, even if that meant walking alone for a while. And heaven is answering that decision now. My dear friend, what you're stepping into now is not hidden work anymore. It's the season where what was cultivated in silence begins to speak for itself. There is a difference between someone who shines because they were placed in the spotlight and someone who shines because their light could not be dimmed even in the shadows. You are the second, and that is why your presence will feel undeniable in the days ahead. People may not be able to explain it, but they will feel it. They'll feel the weight of endurance that didn't collapse. They'll feel the purity of decisions that cost you everything but didn't corrupt you. They'll feel the clarity of someone who no longer needs validation to prove value. That kind of atmosphere cannot be manufactured. It can only be forged. And you, whether you've realized it or not, have been forged. Not in comfort, not in applause, but in the furnace of not yet, in the long stretch of waiting, in the quiet places where you had every reason to give up, but didn't. That is why God is making sure your story turns now. Because people thought if they ignored you long enough, the vision inside you would shrivel. But the truth is this: nothing planted by God can be suffocated by neglect. And now, the same people who misjudged you will have to witness what God has been building all along. Not because you need their approval, not because you need revenge, but because God has chosen to make your life undeniable. Think about it. The very places that rejected you will soon be confronted with the evidence of why you were set apart. The very people who doubted your future will have to stand in the reality of it. The same voices that said you were done will have to swallow the sight of you rising. And this isn't petty. This is divine order. This is how heaven proves a point. Because when God invests in someone, He doesn't let the harvest remain hidden forever. And your harvest is due. You've been living as though your life was on pause, but what you didn't see was that heaven was still writing, still aligning, still setting things in place for a reveal that would make sense only in its timing. And now that timing has come. The recognition you're about to walk in won't come from striving. It won't come from exhausting yourself to be seen. It will come from the natural gravity of what you've become. Your integrity has weight. Your resilience has weight. Your obedience has weight. And weight is felt before it's explained. So don't be surprised when people start asking what changed. Don't be surprised when old rooms suddenly treat you differently. Don't be surprised when even strangers sense something holy on your life and can't quite put it into words. That's not coincidence. That's God's fingerprint on you. And here's the part that may shake you. The blessings arriving now are not random favors. They are responses, direct responses to seeds you planted when you thought nothing was growing. Every decision to keep faith, every refusal to settle, every moment you carried truth in secret, those were seeds. And God is a God who does not overlook seed. So this isn't luck. This isn't chance. This is justice. Justice for the nights you endured without answers. Justice for the sacrifices no one honored. Justice for the pain you carried without letting it poison you. And when justice arrives, it doesn't tiptoe, it announces itself. But know the shift isn't just external, it's internal. You've changed, and everything around you has no choice but to adjust to that change. So let me say this clearly. You are not walking into another season of surviving. You are walking into a season of flourishing, of thriving, of becoming evidence that God never forgets His own. And maybe that still feels strange. Maybe part of you is waiting for the other shoe to drop, because for so long good things came with a hidden price. But hear me, that is not the story anymore. What's coming now is not counterfeit blessing. It's covenant blessing. The kind that doesn't drain you but sustains you. The kind that doesn't collapse under pressure but grows stronger. The kind that doesn't vanish the moment someone's opinion shifts, because it was never built on their opinion in the first place. This is built on God's remembrance of you. So when the recognition comes, don't flinch. Don't question if you deserve it. Don't shrink back out of old habits of unworthiness. Stand in it, because this is what you built in silence. This is what you earned when no one was watching. This is what you carried when quitting was easier. And let them wonder. Let them whisper. Let them try to explain it away. They can't erase what God Himself is putting on display. This is the season where your hiddenness becomes your headline, not to prove them wrong, but to prove God right. And before we finish, I want to share something with you. As a musician, I've started a second channel, Simplified Serenity, with soaking worship instrumentals for prayer, stillness, and deep rest. If you felt peace here today, take it with you into your own quiet time with God. The link's in the description. I'd love to see you there.